Welcome to She's Got This, the podcast for ambitious women who want to grow and scale their business and use the power of intentional energy direction to design their very best life. I'm your host, Christine Gallagher, award-winning business coach and mindset mentor to female entrepreneurs. If you're ready to own your brilliance while making bank, step into the absolute best version of you, and become a force for positive change in the world, you're in the right place. Let's do it. Welcome to the show. It's Christine Gallagher, your host. You're listening to She's Got This. And today we're talking about the hourly rate and how it's old school. Now, most of us learned to do what we do one-on-one. So whether we're a service provider, a practitioner, a coach, a mentor, an expert, usually we start out working one-to-one, you and the client. And that's actually a really good thing early on because you don't necessarily need to have a big following or a platform built or an email list. And I remember back when I first started out in my business, a coach mentioning to me, hey, one-on-one is great because you could literally go to the grocery store, strike up a conversation with somebody in line, and that person could become your client, which of course is definitely true. That's possible. You don't need to have an email list for that. But of course, there is a long-term problem with one-to-one because you can only make so much money before you run out of hours in the day. So that's why we say the hourly rate is actually old school, because you can make more per hour doing less. So essentially doing the same work, but making more money. So by scaling what it is that you do, scaling your business, scaling what you offer, you can serve many, many more people. So instead of it just being you working one-on-one with a client, it's you working with multiple people at one time. So you're making more money, you're not spending more of your time, and you're creating a bigger impact because you're reaching more people. But the thing is, in case you haven't noticed, there is a lot of noise out there these days, and there are a lot of online courses in particular. And so when you see that there are so many people putting out their own courses, it's easy to think that that's the only way to have leverage or reach more people or scale your business. Or if not the only way, it's easy to see that and think, okay, is this the best way to do it? Is this the way that I should be doing it? And it's funny because when I first started years ago, there was definitely a lot less noise online. There were a lot fewer people putting out things like online courses. And so obviously things have changed, but it's not the only way to get out of the dollars for hours model. It's not the only way to scale your business. And in reality, the clients that I work with, they scale their businesses in many different ways. Now, do some do it through an online course? Yes, they do, but they also do it many other ways. And so to illustrate this and to sort of open your eyes and open your mind to the different ways that you could reach more people and make more money without spending more of your time, I wanted to frame it around business model categories. So there are actually what I think of as 4 business model categories. And the first one is leveraged income. So I'm sure you've heard the word leverage. It's a very popular sort of sexy word. And really what it comes down to is it means that you're working one-to-many as opposed to one-to-one. So it's you, but you are reaching multiple people at one time. So that would be the first business model category, leveraged income. The second category would be what is considered passive income, another very sexy idea. And passive income is about leveraging your knowledge. So for example, you create something one time and you sell it over and over and over, and you continue to make money from that. The third category is something that you could consider train the trainer. So that's really where you're training other people to do what it is that you do. And then the last category is money from others. So this is where other people pay you instead of clients or customers paying you. So for all of these categories, I'm going to go ahead and give you some examples so you can have more clarity around what exactly we're talking about here and how you can see that this allows you to do more, make more, create more impact with your time. So as we go through these, one thing that I do want to request is that you don't think to yourself, okay, this probably only works for a coaching business. This actually works for many different kinds of businesses across the board. And so, yes, while I am a coach and a trainer myself, and I have worked with coaches for years and years, that is not the only kind of business that I help. I help a lot of different industries and kinds of service providers outside the coaching world. So while, yes, this works for a coaching business, it also can work for many different types of businesses. So I just wanted you to keep that in mind as we go forward here. So let's look at the first category, and I want to give some examples of what I mean by this. So leveraged income is the first category we mentioned. Now, an easy example that most people would be familiar with to start us off here would be something like a virtual training or a virtual workshop. So obviously what this means is you, for example, hop on Zoom and you give some sort of training, some sort of workshop where you're teaching your expertise to other people. And it's you being the person in charge and teaching and training and giving the workshop, but you're able to do this to multiple people at one time. So multiple people sign up to join you and you teach or train. Now, this could be a free training or workshop, or this could be a paid training or workshop. It just depends on how you're positioning it, what you're teaching, sort of what your goals are. But for example, you could do a free training or workshop where multiple people come and you're just giving great value, you're engaging with people, you're maybe allowing them to ask Q&A. And maybe at the end, in order to make it so that you are making money in some way from this free offering, is you make an offer. You make an offer for something paid. So you might do a free workshop that is sort of like a preview of what it is that you're going to offer at the end that's paid. So for example, you might be doing a workshop around a topic that you can give some great initial info on, but then you say, hey, at the end, if you really like this information, if you had a good time at this workshop, if you got value, if you liked having, access to me, I also have this program that is available. And, that would be a paid offering, right? So they could continue on with you into something paid. Or you could have the training or workshop be paid itself. So an example of this would be just one example from my career. I've done many of these types of workshops. One of my paid workshops in the past has been an optimized offer workshop. So that's a workshop where I teach people how to create their offer and make sure it's really irresistible. And so they have an offer that is set up to sell and they know how to sell it and market it. And so that was a half-day workshop in that example. So that was something paid because I was giving a lot of really great value. Plus I was available for Q&A. I was giving a lot of hands-on access to me. I was giving a lot of opportunities for people to get personalized help. And in that example, we kept the workshop at a little bit of a smaller number because I wanted to be able to give people individualized attention and also make it so that it was more of an intimate setting. So that right there is an example of a paid workshop. Now, I think from what I remember, I also offered something at the end of that paid workshop, which was an opportunity for some of the people who were ready to continue on with me. So I think it was probably some sort of one-on-one coaching program or a VIP day or something like that, right? So the idea being that it's one-to-many, it's you serving multiple people, and you're doing it in a way that is either free or paid, depending on what your goals are. So that's an example of leveraged income that's really simple. Another example would be multi-day workshops. So for years, this was one of the things that was sort of a cornerstone of my business. I did a lot of multi-day workshops. This was definitely pre-COVID landscape, but they were typically 3 days in length. And it was me teaching. And of course, there were multiple people that came to the workshop, right? So obviously one to many. And the great thing about that is I was able to create income on the front end because people would pay for a ticket to the workshop, and it wasn't like an extravagant amount, but they would pay to be there for the 3 days, and they would get amazing value, lots of teaching, lots of ways to network with people. We had lots of experiential exercises for them. And typically in the middle of that multi-day workshop, like on day 2, I would make an offer. And in most cases, it was an offer for my mastermind. And so it was a great way for people to get to know me, get to be in the room with me, get really absorbed in some content that was really previewing what they would work with me in the mastermind on in a much more in-depth level. So obviously leveraged income there, money on the front end, money on the back end, and multiple people attending. Another example, and we just mentioned this, would be year-long masterminds, or even 6-month masterminds, 9-month masterminds. It really is up to you what length you choose. But obviously that is quite leveraged because it's you facilitating, and then there's multiple people that are paying. And if it's a longer term program, 6 months or more, then that can be pretty lucrative because people are staying with you for a longer time. And what I love about longer term masterminds is it really is immersive, and you get to go deep with people, and you get to really have the time for people to learn what it is that you're teaching, implement it, get results. And sometimes some of the people would have such a great experience that they would continue on, right? They would renew, which is awesome. Another example, leveraged income, professional associations. So this would be if you had your own association around a particular topic that's related to your expertise. So when you run an association, you're the one running it, multiple people join, and typically they pay dues or an annual fee. Sometimes it's monthly. And I actually have 2 friends / colleagues that I met years ago in a mastermind we were in together who have run their own global associations. And so an example of one would be my friend Shelley running the Global Association for Holistic Psychotherapy and Coaching, and my friend Morna, who was and is a very creative professional. And so she started the International Association of Creative Arts Professionals, and she herself is actually a quilter. And through that association, she helps people actually make a living at their craft, whether that's quilting or something else creative. And those associations were great for them because they were able to, yes, create income with the association dues itself, but it was also a way to feed people into their other programs. So from those associations, some of the members would then go on to join other programs with each of them, coaching programs, whether those were group or one-on-one. So that's another example of leveraged income. Another example would be a live stream of a paid event. So let's say you were having something in person, and now post-COVID, live events are coming back, which is great. So having people in a room, doing a workshop, doing an event, but also live streaming it so that people could tune in from home through live stream and be a part of the event without actually having to go there, for example, if they didn't want to travel or didn't have the ability to travel. And this is something I actually did for a lot of my in-person live events in the past. We would offer a live stream ticket. And so the people who weren't able to be there live in person could join as well. So that's another way to get more people, right, into an event and additional income. Another example would be a group VIP day. So I teach a lot about VIP days, and VIP days are essentially a way for a client to work with you in an intense way in a half day or a full day setting where you are sharing your expertise, you're coaching them, you're consulting them, you're helping them with something in particular. It's usually tailored around a specific issue or a specific topic. But you could also think about doing it in a leveraged way, which would be through a group. So again, you and multiple people, one to many. And usually when people do group VIP days, they don't make them too big because again, a VIP day is meant to be more intimate and getting a lot of personalized attention. So usually you want to keep that group smaller. So my group VIP days in the past and my clients' group VIP days have been somewhere around 4 to 8 to maybe 10 people max. Another example, leveraged income, membership sites. Of course, you've seen probably examples of these because a lot of people have membership sites. There's silly ones out there. There's Tie of the Month Club, Cookie of the Month Club, but also in sort of the coaching, consulting, service provider world, there are lots of membership sites for people to join and learn something from you. And typically they pay a monthly fee or they pay upfront for an entire year, that type of thing. So for example, I can think of a colleague right off the top of my head. She has membership for copywriting. So they join, I believe, for it may be 9 months, maybe 12 months, but she, as the leader of the membership, provides coaching each month and training each month around particular topics related to getting better at writing copy and creating magnetic messaging to draw in clients, right? So that's a membership site, multiple people paying at once. So then the second category was passive income. And so some examples of this would be creating your own trademark system, for example. So let's say that you have a system that you take clients through that really works for them. So it's like the 4-step system to getting more clients with social media, for example, or really it could be around any topic, no matter what industry you're in. But essentially it's a system that you created that you know brings your clients results. And you could put it together in a system like in a manual or in a training that's maybe multiple videos that people can go through themselves. Another way to think of this is as a self-study course or self-study training, right? So maybe it's something that you put together where you're teaching your system to get results in a certain area, and it's 6 videos and it comes with worksheets and a workbook or something like that, right? So you create it once and you can sell it over and over and over again. So for me, I have a few self-study type trainings and systems, and those are available for people to buy at any time. But what you can also do is do an actual launch, make it an event where you're saying, hey, I'm offering my self-study course in XYZ topic, and the doors are open now for the next week to get it at a special price. And maybe you do that 4 times a year, right? So again, you've created that thing, you've done the videos, you've created the system, you've put the information down, you've put the work in, but then you can sell it over and over multiple times. Another variation on this would be an e-course. So it's funny because when I first started out almost 15 years ago, e-courses were sort of a hot thing. And then they kind of weren't talked about much, but I've noticed in the past few years that people are doing them again. And so an e-course is simply a way for you to provide your expertise and information, but usually through email. So for example, I saw something on Instagram the other day, someone who helps people with drawing in or attracting the love of their life or their soulmate, right? And so I think their course was something like 21 days to attracting love, something like that. And it was an e-course. So basically the person was having people sign up and then they would get a lesson every day in their email for 21 days around their area of expertise, teaching them how to attract love. And then there'd be some, I believe, exercises and things that came with it and questions for them to ponder, right? So that was created once and they could sell it over and over again. Another way to think of a passive income offering would be recordings or transcripts of things. So for example, you might have somebody do an expert series where they interview a whole bunch of experts around a particular topic, and then they record those interviews. And then they sell the recordings. And then as an extra bonus, sometimes those will come with transcripts as well. So the person did this series once, got other people's expertise on board through their brains, right? Because they're interviewing other people, and then was able to package that and sell that multiple times. So those are some examples of passive income. The other example we gave as a category was train the trainer. So train the trainer, again, means you are training other people to do what it is that you do. So an example of this would be hiring associates. So for example, say you are a financial advisor or you are somebody who is a business coach. You could say, all right, I don't want to be the person who is working with the clients directly all the time. I want to have associates underneath me who help work with the clients, or maybe they take it over completely. So I had a colleague and friend who was in a mastermind with me years ago. And I remember he was, I believe, a financial advisor, and he was doing a lot of the one-on-one work with clients himself for years. And he decided that what really made him excited was doing the rainmaking, actually bringing in the clients and doing more sales and getting the clients on board. And so he took his expertise in doing that rainmaking and ran with it by hiring people underneath him to actually work with the clients themselves. Another example would be a business coach who does this, right? They may have been the one working with the clients, but they want to be more of the visionary of the business and look at, creating what's next for the business and focusing on that, or focusing on the marketing more. And so they bring in associate coaches underneath them. That's actually a model that I have played around with in my own business in the past, where I have brought some associate coaches on to help coach my clients in my masterminds, for example. Another example would be licensing, where you have content, you have expertise, and you license other people to use that content, right? So they pay you a fee in order to use your content to share with their clients, right? So you created the content, it's your intellectual property, but you're allowing other people to use it for a fee. Another example of this would be franchising, which of course, the most typical example that we see of franchising out there in the world would be like fast food restaurants, right? Where you are able to buy a franchise and sort of the business is already set up and done for you, right? So if you think of like a McDonald's, that runs like a well-oiled machine. It's a system. Everything's been in place. It's been in place for years, and you are buying into that, right? And taking that model and creating income with it yourself. And it's already sort of done and created so that you're not reinventing the wheel. And then another example would be a certification program, right? So you are certifying people in something that is your expertise so that they can go out and use that information with their own clients. So an example of that would be if you have a really solid system that works, that's proven, and then you certify people in it. So for example, something that I've played around with in my business as a potential offering, which I may still do, is certifying people as business and marketing coaches in my methodology. So I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time, and I have it down. I have it down as a system that works step by step for getting people clients online, for how to get clients online with social media, email marketing, etc. And so because I have that methodology dialed in and proven, I can then certify people in that, and people pay a fee up front to get certified. And then you can decide if you want them to also pay an annual fee to continue to hold the certification. There are lots of different ways to do it. But again, the idea is just giving you these examples to really expand your mind around what's possible for creating that leverage and getting out of the dollars for hours model. And then the last category that I mentioned is money from others. So again, we're talking about money from others, not necessarily clients and customers, but other people, other entities. So an example that might be an event sponsorship, right? So you might be having an event, some sort of live event, or even virtual. I've seen people do this virtually as well, where you have sponsors come in. And so the sponsors are paying for, let's say if it's an in-person event, they're paying for a table, right? To get in front of the people that are coming to the event and offer whatever it is that they are offering. So when I used to do my live events pretty frequently, I would usually offer sponsorships, which was great because people would pay upfront to get their table, or to get their name in the brochure, plus a table, or, plus some time on my stage, maybe 10 minutes talking about, what they do. And so they would pay upfront to be there, but they would always end up getting clients in business because typically they were sponsoring an event where their ideal clients were attending. So in my events were about teaching marketing. And so obviously that was the content I was teaching. And so people were coming to my event to learn marketing. So if you were somebody who had something to do with services or offerings for business owners, that was a great way to get some new clients, right? So for example, Infusionsoft would sponsor my events for years. They're called Keep now, but Infusionsoft is like a CRM. It's where people keep their email contacts. It's where people do their affiliate marketing. It's like an all-in-one software for running your business. And so Infusionsoft would sponsor, and they would have a table at my event because they wanted to get in front of other entrepreneurs who were looking for something to help them with their marketing, which Infusionsoft's software could do, right? And they also would have time on my stage because we would organize something special for them, and they'd pay extra for that, right? But they were happy to do it because they got in front of many people and they got new clients. Another way to think about money from others is paid speaking. So you are getting on somebody else's stage stage in front of their people at their event, and you are being paid in order to speak, right? So you might think of keynote speaking as an example of this. Another example of money from others is selling from other people's stages. So other people have events and they want to bring in additional speakers to really give their attendees a even better experience. So you might strike a deal with the person who's running the event to be able to get on stage and speak about your topic of expertise, but also sell something at the end, right? And typically the way that works is that the person hosting the event would get some sort of cut of whatever it is that you're selling. So say you're selling on someone else's stage, you're selling your program that you offer, or you're selling like a self-study. And let's say that program was $500. It might be that the host from every product you sold gets 20% or 50% or whatever it might be. Another example of money from others would be affiliate commissions. So affiliate commissions is essentially you are allowing people to sell your stuff and then get a commission. So I have an affiliate program. So for people who have either been through my programs or they just have been following me and they know my stuff is good, they will say, hey, I'd love to be an affiliate of yours. And they will go out to their own community and following and offer my program or programs. And then I would pay them a commission for each one that they sold. Let's say 20%, 30% is typical. And so I was happy to do that because it was like my own little sales force going out there and selling for me and reaching people that I may not have reached on my own without their help, right? So money from others, affiliate commissions, you going out and selling somebody else's program and then getting a commission for those that you sold. Another example of money from others would be corporate sponsorships. So this is just another type of sponsorship, as we were just mentioning. And it's really a form of advertising in which companies pay to be associated with certain events. So corporate sponsorship would be more of like the Infusionsoft example, because they are a pretty big company, pretty big corporation, versus just an individual doing a sponsorship, which also can be great as well. I've actually sponsored other people's events as an individual myself, because again, I'm getting in front of my ideal clients in the room. Somebody else has already gathered those people in the room, and there I am getting the opportunity to be in front of them. So some other examples that are sort of random here that I thought I would mention, just because they are also about getting out of the dollars for hours model, would be starting an agency. For example, I have colleagues and friends who run things like Facebook ads agencies. I know other people who run things like a virtual assistant agency, right? So they are a VA, a virtual assistant themselves, but they open an agency where they have VAs underneath them and they place them, with clients. Another example, creating an app, monthly done for you, which would be something like you are a service provider, but you do done for you. So you might always be on retainer with a client to do their monthly graphic design, right? So they might need graphic design on a regular basis, and then you are offering that for them on a retainer, right? So on and on we could go with lots of different examples, but I really just wanted to give you those sparks. So again, to recap, one-on-one work is not typically sustainable for scaling, but leveraged business models really allow you to serve more people and make more without spending more of your time. And as we mentioned, those are 4 categories there that we covered. And so multiple streams of income can be your ticket to freedom so that you're able to scale and create more income without spending more of your time, which of course is what ultimately most business owners want. So don't think you need to pigeonhole yourself by scaling your business in only one way. That's the other reason I wanted to give you so many examples, because again, online courses are sort of the big thing right now, but it's just one way to do it. You can do this scaling and getting out of sort of feeling stuck. You can do it in a way that's best for you and best for your business model and best for your lifestyle goals and your income goals, right? And of course, when you do it the way you want to do it, it will just feel more aligned, it'll feel more creative, and it'll be more fun that way. And by the way, just a side note, you don't have to incorporate all of these ways at once. Of course, you can start with 1 or 2 if you want. Some people love the idea of having multiple streams of income, which I do think is smart. So they may offer multiple ways for people to work with them. For example, one-on-one coaching or services, plus a membership, plus group coaching, plus paid speaking. That could be one person's suite of offerings. And personally, in my own coaching and training business, I've typically offered multiple ways for people to work with me and learn from me like that. But again, it's totally up to you. You could start with one or two and expand from there. But it's pretty sweet how scalable leveraged offers allow you to reach more people and make more at the same time. And yes, the great news is you can actually make more per hour doing less. So just make sure that you explore all of the options before you kind of go to that default of, well, I guess I'll just hunker down and put out yet another online course, right? To add to the other ones out there. There are plenty of other paths that you can go down. So in conclusion, you do what is best for you, but just know and get excited that you can really leverage your time and your talent by doing things this way. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or share it with someone else who would find it helpful. To stay connected with me, please visit she'sgotclients.com and sign up for my email list at the bottom of the page. Or feel free to share this episode on your Instagram and tag me at Christine G and I'll repost you. I would love to share this with as many people as possible. I love you. Until next time, keep shining your light.